now.
Okay, yeah, we got our message.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to KnitWiz Weekly Knit Along. And this is our Zoom meeting that's usually recorded on Mondays. And we also have a Zoom meeting on Thursday, same time, same link, but Thursday meeting is never recorded. So if you want to come and talk about whatever, you can. It won't get recorded. But Mondays will get recorded most of the time, and most of the time that's where we answer knitting questions, although of course we can do that Thursdays too. But today we have a special guest. This fall we've been working on Phrancko sweaters, and I'm wearing one. And Frank is the author of the technique, the inventor of the technique for a top-down set-in-sleeve sweater knit seamlessly, and all completely in the round. And it's just a wonderful technique to make a really nice fitting sweater. And he and I collaborated a couple of years ago, and I added his technique to KnitWiz, and then he receives compensation for the patterns when somebody buys them on KnitWiz too. And he also has his own website. Let me spotlight Frank. And so you can see he's got it up here. Spotlight for everyone. Whoops. Didn't go. Here we go. It's Phrancko.com. And you can also get a personalized Phrancko sweater on Phrancko. And you can also get patterns which are sized at TKGEA Cast On Magazine. And he's wearing his transformation sweater today.
Yes. This is a Phrancko sweater. It is modified with this butterfly motif. And it is knitted completely in the round and has the architecture of set-in sleeves. And that's what a Phrancko sweater is all about.
It's a beautiful fit. Looks really good.
Yes. And mine is I made from KnitWiz, and I added a little extra ease for winter around the chest because I plan on wearing it with a turtleneck. But I'm
You
really
should spotlight yourself, Kathy.
Let me
do that.
spotlight myself.
Yes. I'm big and you're a little tiny showing off your sweater. There you go.
Okay, back up a little bit.
Yeah.
There. Now you can see the whole sweater, and it's long and it's loose, and I love it.
It's gorgeous.
So that's the Cloisters pattern that we've just been working on. And this week we'll be starting on a new pattern. But today, Frank is here to talk about Phrancko and how you got started and everything. And Frank, I'm gonna give you host permission and put you in the spotlight as well.
Okay.
There we go.
Very good.
Now you're spotlighted, and how do I can't find how to get you to make you the host now. That's fine.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so that's a little glitch in their thing. Let me remove the spotlight. I'll let you spotlight yourself.
Okay.
There we go.
Now I'm the host and we're still recording, and I'll spotlight myself. There. Well, we're working out the Zoom thing here. The history of the Phrancko sweater. After knitting a few sweaters by various patterns, I discovered I'm actually a new knitter, and compared to most of you, I started knitting when I was 67 years old. That is, seriously, I didn't know how to knit before that. But I started seriously when I was 67, and I'm now 78. So that was only 12 years ago, and many people have been knitting for 50 years. So I still consider myself a new knitter. after knitting a few patterns for sweaters, I realized many of them, like drop shoulder sweaters, just didn't fit right under the arm. There was a big bulky amount of fabric under the arm. But when I did a set-in sleeve, it fit really nicely. However, I found that it was really difficult, and many other people have found it's really difficult to knit that seam that goes, let me see if I can turn the right way. The seam that goes around here is really difficult to get right. And I kept having to take it out and put it back in again. And I decided it would be really nice if we could knit. I had done yoke sweaters and what's the other one called with the diagonal? The diagonal, a raglan. I'd done both of those as top-down seamless sweaters, and I wanted to do a top-down seamless, or in this case, nearly seamless sweater that had the set-in sleeve architecture, so it would fit better. I took a class that, well, let me first show you some pictures. All right, so let me share my screen and I'll show you some pictures of set-in sleeves that have been done. These are all photos of people who have knitted the Phrancko sweater from my website. The website Phrancko.com simply presents a pattern that is a simple, solid colored sweater. If you don't make any modifications, you just use one yarn, and the sweater comes out. You have a choice of several different collar styles, like this crew neck. You can do them in any size you want. The measurements are entered just like on KnitWiz. So here's a child's sweater that was done. Another collar style is a V-neck sweater. And here's another adult sweater that was, you get to choose the fit that you want. And obviously this person chose a larger fit, so it's a little baggier. And here's another teenager's sweater. And then people also started taking this plain sweater pattern and doing all kinds of modifications to it, as if it was the palette on which to design your own sweater. And so here's a really delightful one with an alternative collar that's not available on the website. I guess it's a mock turtleneck. I'm not sure what it would be called. And then color work on the body of the sweater. This is one with the Henley collar, which is available on the website, but the stripes were added by the person who knitted it. And then this image was put together by Ron Warren, who is a owner of a local yarn store in Bakersfield, California. He has knitted over 20 Phrancko sweaters. And he is extremely creative. If you look at this one in the top left corner, top left, with the chain stitches dangling down, he invented all of that. And the one below it with the stranded color work in the body. People just do all kinds of creative things. And as he put on this diagram that he created, life is too short for an ill-fitting sweater. And the idea of the Phrancko sweater is that it is not ill-fitting. And he says, keep it simple or go wild. And now we've gotten used to Ron really going wild with his sweater designs. That's just some of the sweaters that have been created by people who have generated their pattern at Phrancko.com. And now let me show you what is unique about the Phrancko sweater. What makes it a Phrancko sweater? The Phrancko sweater has set-in sleeves. And this is the way a set-in sleeve is traditionally worked, set-in sleeve sweaters. They are knitted in pieces. The front and the back are virtually identical, except for the neckline. The front might dip lower than the back. The sides are then seamed together, and the sleeve is also knitted twice, two separate pieces, and the sleeve has to fit into the hole that is created after you have seamed the shoulder, the top of the shoulder, and the sides of the body. And that is the seam that is very difficult to get correct. So some people who just would prefer to knit in the round have knitted as much of that style of sweater in the round, and that looks like this. You can knit the body in the round, but the upper torso still has to be knitted flat, and you still have to do the sleeves separately. So that's not really much of an improvement. You just get to knit more of your sweater in the round. But people came up with an alternative version of the sweater that looks like this. And I took a class that taught me how to do the sweater this way. And this was the beginning of the inspiration for the set-in sleeve sweater that I generated or developed, the Phrancko sweater. This sweater is knitted in the round from the bottom up, or it's knitted from the top down. The body is one piece, but the front is a separate piece from the back. So they are both knitted flat from the underarms to the shoulder, or from the shoulder down to the underarms, whichever way you go. That whole area is knitted flat. They are seamed across the top of the shoulder. And then you have the body with this big hole, which if you were doing a flat set-in sleeve, you could fit that into the hole. But instead, they have developed a method of doing short rows, picking up stitches around the top of the hole, doing short rows as you pick up more stitches, going down the sleeve hole until you get to the place where I'm not describing this method very well. You put in a certain number of short rows to create the rounded shoulder, and then you start just knitting back and forth until you get to the bottom of the sleeve, and then you can start knitting the sleeve in the round. So you get a little bit more knitting in the round. You don't have to do the seam that is so difficult to do. And so that there are two different shall we say, improvements, though some people don't think knitting in the round is an improvement. But if you like knitting in the round instead of seaming flat knits, this is an improvement. Having taken a class that taught me how to do that, I began to realize there was a way to calculate the sleeve cap. And so I went back to the drawing board and I came up with this construction of the sweater. The top down, the sweater is knitted top down. The only flat knitting is on the sides of the neckline. I'm assuming you can see where my cursor is. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the sides of the neckline are knitted flat on both sides and across the back. Once you get this funny shaping thing that doesn't look at all like a sweater, you then are able to begin knitting in the round by picking up stitches across the selvage edge on one side of the shoulder, knit across the front of the sweater, pick up stitches on the other selvage edge on the other shoulder, and then knit across the back. And from that point on, you're knitting entirely in the round around the outside of the shoulders. In order to get the set-in sleeve architecture, however, that shoulder piece needs to have a bell-shaped curve if it were laid out flat, which of course it isn't. But this construction I've discovered a couple of years after I developed the method myself, I discovered that it was described by Barbara Walker in her book, Knitting from the Top. I kept asking all my knitting friends if they'd ever seen anybody who had knitted a sweater this way. And finally, somebody pointed me to that book and said, I think she described this. And she describes the exact construction, except she says, do an increase every other row from the shoulder all the way down to the place where you do the closing off of the sleeves. And so that doesn't create a bell curve. It creates a flat across the top, an angle down the sides of the sleeve cap, and then a horizontal under the shoulders. That shape of a sleeve cap, in the class I took from J.C. Breyer, she called that the witch's hat shape for the sleeve cap, because it's flat on top, angled on the two sides, and then has horizontal sides at the bottom. So it looks like a witch's hat, and it doesn't fit as well as a bell-shaped curve. So I worked on how to create the bell-shaped curve, and I came up with this. We'll start here. This represents the curve of the increases on various sizes of a sweater. So the smallest one is the shortest one, of course, and is the narrowest one. But when you generate a pattern on Phrancko.com or on KnitWiz that it has the Phrancko sleeves set in, the increases on each side of the sleeve cap are carefully calculated to create this bell-shaped curve. These are the actual stitches that were done on a series of sweaters or series of patterns a few years ago. Here's a schematic that shows what's going on with those increases. We start by picking up stitches across the top. We do a couple of rows where we do increases on both sides of the sleeve for a couple of rows. So that rounds off the top. And then there are 3 to 5 sections down the sides that vary from less steep to more steep to even more steep to less steep to even less steep. And that creates the bell shape that you see here. At the bottom of the bell, that shaping, there is a special section that I call the diagonal recess. It's really a part of the recess underneath the sleeves, but by making a diagonal recess, it fits better. And so the diagonal recess is done by creating increases on both the sleeve and the sleeve cap and the body at the same time, and I do them in my pattern on every single row. It makes a sharp underside that goes underneath the armpit. And then there's the horizontal increase, the horizontal recess, where in a traditional sweater you would bind off stitches or, let's see, I don't know how you do it in a traditional sweater. I cast on stitch. Oh, you would cast on stitches. That's what you would do. You would cast on stitches and then continue down the body and later pick up those stitches. In the Phrancko sweater on Phrancko.com, I don't know if Kathy does this. I suggest using a provisional cast on. So the underarm is solid and has no seam at all.
Yes, I did the crochet cast on also.
Okay, so we're both doing that. And then this is how it looks conceptually, and those are all the different parts of the curve. But when it's actually in the sweater, the diagonal recess is going underneath the arm and the horizontal recess is across the bottom of the armpit. And so that's what the whole sweater looks like as you knit it. And it's all knitted in one piece. As I said, all of these increases are just calculated to create this shape down both sides of the sleeve cap, and then bind off. So that's pretty much it. On this sweater, I'll show you. Here are the stitches that are the diagonal recess. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
And they are going underneath the arm, and then the arm itself has just no seam whatsoever, because we used a provisional cast on to go down the body, and then came back and picked up those stitches and created the sleeve.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And that's about the whole story. Once I had that, well, it's not the whole story, because the whole story is not over, I hope. But once I had that, I thought, well, this is really considerably better than what I have been able to do before. And that has since been verified by a number of knitters who have knitted a Phrancko sweater and have said to me personally, I will never knit any other kind of sweater because this sweater fits better than any sweater I've ever knitted before. Ron Warren, who has now created over 20 Phrancko sweaters, had never knitted a sweater before. He's a rather large person, and he said he just didn't want to create a sweater that put all that work into it and not have it fit. But I did a early presentation to the Knitting Guild in Bakersfield, and it was hosted at Ron's yarn store. He offered his space to host this weekend workshop where I presented the Phrancko sweater to a group of knitters in the guild there. He, of course, was exposed to what I was saying and got excited about it and decided to give it a try. He actually waited a year, and then finally, after a year, he knit his first sweater, and he wrote me, and he was so excited. He says, I can't believe I waited a year after your workshop to actually try this, and it worked perfectly. And so he has continued to create sweater after sweater. And he's just one of several people who have found that is just an excellent construction that fits extremely well.
Yes, I'm a fan as well. And Frank didn't cover anything about the software, but his software is very elegant. It's just really something to be able to look under the hood and see how you wrote that. It's very clever. Very clever engineering. Wow. So yes, thank you, Frank. That was a wonderful presentation. And
you're very welcome. And I'm making you the host again, so you can continue doing what you need to do.
Okay. So I'd never seen any of that presentation from you before, and that was really fascinating. Thank you.
You know, maybe I should do that in my weekly meeting too. I think I did do it a long time ago. I've held a weekly meeting every Saturday. I think we're going on, we've almost reached 3 years it's been going on. And
you can get the Zoom link for Frank's meeting on his website.
That's right.
There.
Right after you join the website, and it doesn't cost anything to join and play around with patterns and see what you want to do. And the link is available at the top of most of the pages on my website. 2:30 Pacific time every Saturday. Come join us.
So yes, and so to pick up where we left off, in 2019, right before COVID, I met Frank, and I was working on KnitWiz, and I had done bottom-up sweaters at that point. I think I had several templates. I definitely had a V-neck and a round neck. I did not yet have a shawl collar, and I did have a raglan, but I did not yet have a yoke. I think that's where I was with the site. So 2 years later, I contacted Frank and said, I'm ready to collaborate. Let's do it top down. So that's how the Phrancko sweater got started on KnitWiz. And the differences, I think, are that because of the design portion of KnitWiz, you can actually add the stitches in and it'll be calculated like the lace at the bottom, and you can change the shape visually with a little sliders and a little figure. You'll have your picture, and then the sliders change the shape and all of that. And but you still get a Phrancko sweater. The sleeves are still calculated the exact same way, and so that and that's the difference, I think.
I remember the day we met. It was at Stitches West, I believe, right? Stitches West.
Yeah.
I was wandering around, and Kathy had a booth there, and I went over and looked and saw that she was doing a website that did custom fit sweaters. And my first reaction was, oh no, I have a competitor. I do custom fit sweaters. She does custom fit sweaters. We're competing. And I said, no, we don't have to compete. I want to see what she's doing. Maybe we can share ideas. And I went over and she gave me a demonstration very graciously, spent quite a bit of time with me, showed me exactly what she had on KnitWiz. And I was just blown away. I just thought that was the most amazing thing that I had seen. And I don't want to embarrass you, Kathy, but I think her software skills actually surpass my own. And I was just amazed what she had been able to accomplish. I had come up with a construction that created a well-fitting sleeve top. That's basically what I did. And she had created a website that let you do all kinds of design on a sweater.
To be fair, I did a lot of JavaScript in my day job. And so I don't know, I probably came up with it in a dream about we should be able to design sweaters using sliders. That's probably how it happened. And it took me a long time to figure out how to actually do that. There's not really anything out there for connecting shapes and doing that kind of thing. But I did figure it out, and I'm really happy about that part of the program. So it was fun.
And I'm very happy that you have incorporated the Phrancko sweater design into your website so people can design the full sweater instead of just a plain sweater.
Yeah.
It's really great.
And then the next one we're doing, so I finished Cloisters, Serena knit the sweater, and I put on the collar. And I just need to add the collar instructions to the pattern, and then I will be publishing it tomorrow. And so I know I said this in the email, but I'll reiterate for anyone who's seeing this video later today. Be sure to get your free project of the Cloisters while it's in pre-publication or early release, I call it usually, before I publish it, because after that it's $9.95. So that'll be tomorrow. And the next sweater I'm working on, which I know I showed everybody the swatch a month ago probably, but I have been working on centering this motif in the back, and I've almost got this code correct. So I think tomorrow morning I'll have that code correct. I'm just off by 1 stitch now because of the parity, the odd or evenness of the motif, which is an odd number. So each side needs two even numbers, and so I just have to fix that, and that's it, and then that's done, and we can start. And tomorrow I'll be doing a video of little troubleshooting things, like on mine. I'm ready to put the shoulders on for the front. This is the back. Actually, I have it upside down. And when you go ahead and do the front shoulders, you want to have the wrong side or the non-public facing side facing you. And you'll start from the right, which is your left shoulder actually, because this is the back, and pick up stitches across the back And then pretend like you have a solid piece of knitting here. And so you're working across, so you would start at the neckline edge on the right shoulder and pick up stitches purlwise across the right shoulder. But that's what I'll be putting in the video. And then I'll be showing how to add the motif also in that video. So that's why I haven't worked anything further, because I want to do the video and show you how to do the motif. And it takes a while. It took me a couple of hours to do the first motif. So plan on spending a little while if you're doing that sweater to do the motif. It's fun though. It's a challenge. It's fun.
Yeah.
And
you heard Pat from your Knitting Guild designer course yet?
I have not. Donna said I'm also working on a TKGA certification. Frank is a master hand knitter, and Serena is a professional hand knitter with TKGA. And I am working on the design certification for TKGA, and I just submitted last Monday, the second module. But there was a retreat this weekend, and Donna said she would let me know what I need to redo or fix at the end of the week, by the end of the week. So
I was at the retreat, by the way, and it was really wonderful.
yeah, I was going to ask you about that. How did you like so tell us what you're working on next, Frank.
Yes. Well, it has always bothered me that there's that little bit you have to knit flat on the sides of the neck. And I knew that a yoke sweater didn't have that. So I've always dreamed of figuring out a way to make it a full yoke sweater with set-in sleeve architecture. I've actually been struggling with that problem for 2 months now, maybe even 3. And I keep thinking I have the solution and then knit it up and it doesn't quite work. So I am trying to come up with a yoked sweater that will have the architecture of set-in sleeves. I haven't given up yet.
Did you learn?
I took a day-long class with Kim McBrien Evans, I believe her name is. And it was on yoked sweaters and making them fit. So I got a lot of good suggestions from that class.
Oh, good.
And I'm looking forward to working some more with it and ironing out the kinks.
Well, can't wait to see the finished result. I think that's a great idea. So, yeah, I only have bottom up yoked sweaters on KnitWiz. I did not want to tackle the top down. So I thought, I'll do a set-in sleeve Phrancko sweater, and I'm really happy with that. But if you do a yoked sweater, we can do a yoked sweater on KnitWiz, top down.
Okay, great.
It'll be fun. So, let's see. What was I going to say next? Oh, so one thing I wanted to talk to you about is the ShadowPlay and the intarsia, because I've had several people ask. Now, if you could see this, let me spotlight myself. Okay. There are 4 colors there. One thing I will say is there are 2 colors in the background of the swatch, but I changed it in the pattern to 1 color in the background behind the motif, because otherwise you end up with a million ends, and that is just not fun knitting. So I changed that. This would make a great placemat though, by the way. I'm actually thinking of making placemats with this stitch because it's super flat. But anyway, for the intarsia on the ShadowPlay Cardigan, which is the next pattern to be published, there are 4 colors. And on KnitWiz, you can change this to 2 or 3 colors, or even just 1 color. If you want to do the motif, it is a raised kind of, can you see that? It's kind of got a 3D thing. So you could do it in 1 color, although with all that work, I would probably do it in 2. It just takes like 10 yards for this motif of scrap yarn if you want to do a separate color for that. But what you do on KnitWiz, and I'm going to share my screen and show you. It's pretty simple to figure the yardage if you just want to use 2 colors or 3 colors. And I wanted to share that quickly. Share my screen. It's not showing up. Just a second. I'll make the page show up and then I'll share my screen. There we are. Okay. Now I can share my screen. Okay. Here we are on the ShadowPlay Cardigan sample. And this is a project for me. And I have all of these different yarns. And underneath that, it has the estimated yardage requirements for each of the yarns. The green is a CL and the blue is called chambray. And there is more CL because the bodice is just CL. But if you keep on scrolling down below the schematics, here we go. Here's where you update your swatch yardages and substitute yarns. If you're changing yarns, in any case, you'll measure your swatch yardage used, but all you have to do here is put each yarn yardage that you're going to use right here to the right. But if you're going to swap out yardages, then you click out which ones you're going to use and which ones you're not going to use. So in other words, let's say I wanted to use every single yarn as this Aegean color. Then I would click on these boxes and I would scroll down. There's a lot of swatches. And then I would just select. It's Luma in Aegean right here. And I would select that. And then I would save my changes. And then I would just have the one color. And so then my yardage would be recalculated for just that one color.
Okay.
But in any case, and then you can always just put in, like, let's say you just know how much yardage you're using. And so if I have, let's see, 14, 17, 19 yards of Aegean, if I'm just using one color, then I'd put 19 here. And these will probably disappear when you refresh. But if they don't, you just put 0, 0, 0. I haven't tried it because I don't want to mess up my sample. But I think I should try it on another project. And I think it would be a good one to do a blog post on. So I'll do that and show how that's working. But that's all you do. You just add them, you just change the color of all the other yarns. Or if you're just doing 2 yarns, you change the color of the 2 yarns. Same thing.
So checking a box means you're removing it?
It means you're changing it. So I'm changing the color in this case, just to this Aegean. And that, if you, let me scroll down to one of the last swatches so that I can show you this box. So if I want to change these, then I have this box. If when you first come to the page, the box isn't showing because you have nothing selected. But once you start selecting things, then this box shows up and it lets you change the yarn to whatever. So if I want to change this Izomi to Aegean or to Saint-Tropez, then I just pick that and it'll save the changes. and there it is in this last swatch. There it is, Saint-Tropez.
Oh, I see. So you're checking the ones you don't want to use and
Don't
going to
change.
the bottom and switching them to the color you do want to use.
Yes, yes, exactly. I'm checking all the ones I do want to change or don't want to use. I want to set, usually when you're doing a sweater, you're going to change every yarn because you're going to be using a different yarn altogether. So in other words, if I was going to be using Acadia or something, then I would check all the boxes and then change it to Acadia or whatever
Right.
I'm using.
And you'll still see those amounts over on the right because they'll total up to the amount you need in the one color.
Yes.
It's not going to turn those to 0 or a different number.
Correct. It's just changing the yarn. The way you change the yardage is you just add in a different yardage here. If I put in 3, remember that it's 2, and I click on it, and then it comes. There it is.
In case you just wanted particularly a little extra of that yarn, you can up it to the quantity that you want.
Yeah. It should have gone to, oh no, that was the other one, wasn't it? 2. This was supposed to be 3, I think. Yeah, 3 and 2. But if I want to change that to 3, then I click out there. Now it's 3.
Right.
That's what I was trying to do before.
And that way you could make a matching hat or whatever.
Right.
From the extra of the yarn. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. So once you do that, so if I have this Saint-Tropez in here now, it will show Saint-Tropez up at the top. There it is, 59 yards altogether.
Okay.
But I'll take that out because I definitely don't want that.
Yeah, we don't want you to mess up your sample. It's hard when you start playing, you're like, okay, where did I begin?
Exactly.
And the
It's
other
like
thing,
putting clothes in the closet and then 2 hours later you've cleaned your closet.
Right.
so the other thing I'll say is that once you, well, now I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry, Serena. Something about yardage estimates, but I can't remember.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I messed up your train of thought.
It's okay. I might remember later. So I don't know. I think most of you guys are doing cloisters, right? Are you Zia, which one are you doing? Do you know?
I'm going to do the cloisters.
Yeah.
I think it's so pretty now. I can see it on you. It's like, wow, I'm looking forward to finishing it.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so today I'll add the neck, and you'll get those instructions. I wanted to go over that too. I think that usually what happens is once I get the sample finished, then people actually can see the sweater and then they can decide whether they want to make it. Pretty much that's how it is. But this one, for the neck and the sleeves and the bottom, because it's the lace here, I used a stretchy bind off, which isn't in the pattern yet. I will add that too, which is a very simple bind off, and I'll make a quick video of how to do that. All you do is you instead of doing the traditional bind off, you go ahead and knit the 2 stitches together from the back once you have them on the right hand needle. Super simple. But it does help the collar, and I didn't have to do anything on the inside of the collar. I worked it from the inside out instead, and I did it 3 purl 7 knits, 3 purl 7 knits all the way around on a 1 size smaller needle, or you can just knit tightly. and until I came to about an inch for 2 inches or so, or 5 centimeters. And then I switched back to the regular 7 purl 3 knit, and did that for 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters, and then switched to the lace, and I did 1 lace repeat. So that's 20 rows. And the only thing I would say, and I'll put this in the instructions too, is that because you're picking up stitches around, and it tells you exactly how much to pick up around, on the sides and on the back, in the front bind off matches the body bind off, but because then you're starting the collar on the back here, you'll want to work backwards and figure out, well, where do my 3 stitches 7 purls, 3 stitches 7 purls, what stitch am I really going to start with, so that they line up perfectly in the front like that. Or you could just start in the front. That's the other way to do it.
Uh-oh, she lost her.
I lost us.
Well, you got back quickly.
And it's recording again.
Yeah.
That's wild. It's probably 2 different recordings.
2 for 1.
Yeah, we must have lost power for just a second. Well, anyway, so that's all there is to say about the collar, but I'm really happy with the way it turned out. And I didn't do anything fancy at the bottom. I just did the stretchy bind off, and it laid perfectly against the neckline.
Kathy, I wanted to show you this sweater I knit a couple years ago that's got a similar design, but it's diagonal.
Oh, that's pretty.
Oops.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, and then this is just a garter yoke thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty
So-
though.
Isn't that something? It's
Just right.
spiral.
Yeah. So,
Really pretty, Karen.
Did you
hey,
just?
how did your pizza come out?
Oh,
My
the pizza
pizza-
came out great.
Oh,
Yay!
that's mine.
The best I've ever done.
Cool.
Karen's been taking this pizza baking class,
Yeah.
and she shared a recipe.
Oh, is that right?
For-
And you
for
cooked her
crust.
recipe?
Yeah,
A pizza crust recipe. Well, I
Yeah.
guess it had the whole thing, didn't it? But the crust was what was phenomenal.
yeah, the crust
Wow.
was really something. And we always do an annual pizza and pumpkin carving at Halloween.
Oh, fun.
So
And now here on the West Coast, it's 10 minutes to noon and I'm starving and you're talking about pizza.
well, I even ate lunch and I'm starving.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you wake up at 3 a.m.
Oh.
Daylight savings does a number.
That time change is so weird.
Yeah.
Zia, did you begin your cloisters? Do you have it to show?
No, I don't have yet because I've been busy. I have a lot of things happening, traveling with my sick son and hospitalization. Yeah, but I've started doing this Phrancko technique, and I'm lost there. And then the lace pattern, I tried it, and I think I did too big the swatch, and I lost count. And I read it again. I didn't like it, so I choose a different yarn altogether. So
Yeah.
that's
you
why
can't-
I'm really excited. I have the color that I've chosen, but I'm not finished yet. It's
Okay.
What color will it be?
a rustic brown. Where is it? I think I have it somewhere here. Hang on. Hello. This
Oh,
it's
sort of
pretty.
like curry, I don't know. I love this color.
I love that color. Yes.
It's
very nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So this is the color I choose instead. Yeah, because I always tend to go for pink or blue.
Mm. Well, I think
Yeah,
you were
it's
really good in that
the
yellow.
opposite.
Yeah.
Regarding when Frank was talking about the yoke sweater and satin sleeve, there's another woman. She's trying to figure out to make a yoke sweater, and a sweater that fits the body and the sleeves. I don't know. She's called Pearls Knitting. Have you heard of her? Olga. She lives in USA.
Yes, I
Oh,
think
I think
so.
I haven't heard of her. Pearls Knitting.
Yeah, PURLZ and knitting. She was supposed to release the pattern in 12th of June on her birthday, and I was waiting for it because I was too late to sort of like join in to get the pattern. But then somehow she did not publish it, and she's totally gone off. I think she's sick or she take a retreat.
no.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm looking forward to that pattern. That it's a very beautiful because she went to Barcelona and visited the Sagrada Familia, and she tried to do the how to say the increase and a pattern here at the same time, following the Sagrada Familia.
Wow.
But it was beautiful. Yeah, so I guess I have to wait. Maybe you can find out. She's a
I'd
designer.
love to
She's
find
a
her, but
yeah.
sounds like she's trying to do the same thing I'm doing, which is great. I would love to see how she's solved it, if she
Because most of the
has.
time her knitting is she knit up and then the shoulder, the sleeves first. It's like, short rows going
Oh, yes.
forward, back, and that way. Finish the sleeves and then you do the body down. That's her style.
Oh.
But now she wants to do yoke. Yeah.
I have heard of her. I think think she's done some videos, but
Yes.
I
Very
can't think of what she looks like. So
short hair, dark hair, very small, slim lady. Yeah.
I'm pretty
She's,
sure I've seen her videos. Pearls Knittings.
Yeah. I think she's a scientist as well.
Yeah. So anyway, well, I'm looking forward to seeing your progress on the sweater, Zia. And of course, this is, we just continue these knit alongs because it's fun to chat. And if people are working on other things, that they show what they're working on. Karen was finishing up a lace shawl, which I don't know how far it is, but
I'm almost done. I think I'm going to finish it today.
oh, yay.
And then I'll show it to you after I block it.
Okay, good. So yeah, we do all kinds of stuff. We don't always just do sweaters and
I've just been crocheting while sitting at the hospital or waiting,
Yeah.
And then I just mitten now for preparing for the winter because it's really, really cold on the Faroe Islands. So
Yes.
I'm just doing this for my daughter now.
That's cute. Cute.
Oh,
I think it's a crochet. I just started to learn how to crochet and knitting. I'm a new knitter, so I'm a very slow knitter.
Me too.
I still am.
It's 20 years, but it's very, very slow. Yeah.
So if you do have questions on getting started with your Phrancko shoulders, just we do have our YouTube channel, but just make sure you email and I can hop on a Zoom with you anytime, so get that sorted.
Yeah.
And everybody's really welcome,
Thank you.
able to help, and Serena's really good at it. So yeah. Anybody else have anything they want to show before it's time?
Oh, my Phrancko,
Oh, yay.
Woohoo.
and it's the saddle shoulder
Oh, yes.
in there.
I have not done that yet.
And then I finally have gotten the putting the sleeves or working on the shoulder here. So this is yours,
yeah.
Karen. Finally, guys.
Got it rolling.
Finally.
Good.
I've had more problems with the shoulder on this one than, I don't know. It's been really hard this time.
It's a concept, and until my brain is ready to open up and hear the new concept, that's where my struggle comes in. It's not that the pattern is not clear. It's my head is going, okay. And then it goes, no, okay.
Things were not making sense on the shoulder for some reason. I'd be going back and forth between, Serena's videos and Frank's videos and
Yeah.
Frank's videos and Serena's and Frank's. And it's like,
Yeah.
not making sense to me.
Well, let me just say, if anybody struggles that much, don't worry about it. Just let me know. I can have an individual session with you and we can see what you're doing and
Well,
guide
Kathy
you
helped
through
me
it.
on Thursday on that. I was just,
Oh, good.
the
Well,
short row,
I'm also available to have one-on-one Zoom
Yeah.
sessions to help
Plus-
anybody who wants to knit a Phrancko sweater.
I was trying to do the wrap and turn and I couldn't see where beans, what
Oh,
pick up, and I'm going, all right, German short rows work really well.
Yeah.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
dark color, it is hard to see.
It is really hard to see.
Mm-hmm. And I feel very agnostic about things like short rows, what kind of short rows, and I just put in the most common kind, but it really doesn't matter to me.
That's true for me too.
So that's why they're wrap and turns, but I tend to do a shadow short row myself most of the time. So whatever.
And I'll tell you a secret. Arinda, the editor of Cast On Magazine, the president of TKGA, confided in me that she doesn't ever do shoulder shaping. And I've tried leaving it out, and you really can't tell. It's like the shoulder just naturally forms to your shoulders. So don't tell anybody, but if you don't want to do that row 2 with all those short rows, just leave them out and knit across or purl across, whichever it's calling for.
Wow.
Interesting.
Oops.
It's a
True
secret. Don't tell
confession.
anyone.
Don't tell anybody.
Only your closest friends.
We
I
won't
was
tell
really tempted
anybody.
on this shadow play to leave the shoulder shaping out. But I'm not going to do that because, I want to keep it to the pattern. But maybe.
Well, it is nice to know in case you want to go out on a limb, a creative side and do different things.
Mhm.
And then short rows, you have to kind of concentrate really hard on a pattern.
That's right.
So that's nice to know that it would be okay if you
Yes.
wanted to do color work or something really creative up here.
Yeah.
And not have to keep track of the creativeness and the short rows. So
That's right. Exactly.
Mhm. Yep. Well, it's 1:00 and I thank you all for coming today. It was a great session and I actually learned a lot. So I hope you all did too. And
Yeah.
I'll be posting this later for everybody to watch. So
And thank you for
Right.
inviting me, Kathy. I love talking about the Phrancko sweater.
well,
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much
seeing
for
you.
having me.
All right, everyone. Have
Thank
a good day.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.